Hello and welcome Exiles. Today I bring you a pretty special build, and I gotta say this is probably one of the most fun builds I've played in the past year, probably longer, I'm not sure. I'm really having a lot of fun with this one, and that's Relic of the Pact. This is a unique we had in Ultimatum League that we're just getting back now that gives you a special skill. It's called Blood Sacrament. That's this skill where we're blowing up, nice bloody explosion, nice big AoE. How does this skill work? Well, it's pretty simple conceptually. It says, hey, this skill is going to reserve your life, and for every 10 life, you deal 80% more damage with your hits, and you also get base radius based on the percentage of your life being reserved. So you can see, as we reserve more, the circle grows, kind of like a flame blast. Now, this can be modified with things like reduced reservation efficiency or increased reservation efficiency of your skills. So on my rings, I'm taking advantage of, once again, the Kalandra mechanic of reversing efficiency for the mod, which means when I put these on, they actually increase the amount, which increases our cast speed effectively of how long it takes us to charge up a full blast. You'll see without these rings on, without the reservation efficiency, it actually takes a longer time to do it. In the extreme case, if you're doing like a budget setup, you'd probably use an Essence Worm, in which case you actually get only a 1-tick proc. Now, the important portion of this is how much do you want to reserve? Because the larger portion of your life pool you reserve, the bigger AoE you're going to get, and the bigger hit you're going to get. Now, this is kind of like running the gauntlet. I am living life on the absolute edge because I'm playing where I'm reserving about 98% of my life, versus somebody else who'd play with just maybe an Essence Worm would only be reserving about 20% of, or 80% of their life. The difference between these two things is the difference in, hey, can the monster one hit you when you reserve down to that lowest little bit? And for me, the way I'm playing it on the edge of death, that's absolutely the case. I'm going to be speccing into things like spell dodge, evasion, and spell block, basically making it so if the enemy's going to hit us in that 0.1 second window where we have that low reservation for Dissolution of Flesh where it can just PK us, they're going to have to hit us and also get through our avoidance layers as well. We'll probably eat a few deaths here and there, but I'm just going to enjoy the fact we are living on the edge the entire time. What are some of the interesting mechanics of this build? Well, for one, we have the Calm Spirit Gloves. These are new gloves introduced thanks to the supporter Iron vs. Wild. This unique is brought to us by him, which gives us rage generation per life, regeneration per second. Now, the interesting thing about a Dissolution of the Flesh build is it makes life regenerate not a necessary stat for sustain, and so we have a build where we're scaling life for damage, and this means if we have a bit of percent regen, which we have for Master of Arena, Golem's Blood, and Warrior's Blood, we have a little bit of a percent regen. All that means is we put on these pairs of gloves, and all of a sudden we actually have a decent amount of rage regen per second, because we have a high life pool and a little bit of percent life regen per second. This means in our character we can effectively use pretty high uptime on Berserk. We can have it on left click, you'll see the uptime is pretty decent. It'll get better as we get more life, as we get a bit more percent regen per second, and it just feels good because Berserk comes with 30% more movement speed, another 50 or 20% less damage taken, and if you get the alt quality Berserk, Divergent Berserk, you can get up to around 13% more spell damage, and that gets all modified by the Berserk enchant. It's a very nice thing, a very nice tool in terms of making our character go fast. Part of the reason why we chose Raider. We wanted to go fast, we wanted to be able to zip around, and Raider also is very, very good if we want to get avoidance layers like evasion and spell dodge. Spell dodge from Quartz Infusion, and evasion from Avatar of the Chase. I want to stack these layers because Dissolution is a build where you really don't want to get hit. The more avoidance layers you have, the more likely you are to go 2 seconds without getting hit, thus proccing your Dissolution of the Flesh, which means, hey, your life gets unreserved. Dissolution of the Flesh is a jewel, which makes it so every hit that damages you, instead of taking your life away, reserves your life, and it'll stay that way for 2 seconds. Once you've gone 2 seconds without taking damage, your life gets unreserved. Hence, that's why we want damage avoidance. Now, this gets a little bit even more interesting when you include something like Petrified Blood. Petrified Blood does an interesting mechanic with Dissolution of Flesh where it separates the flat damage you take and the degen damage. The degen damage will then go to the life pool you're normally regenning, and we can mitigate this with one affix on one ring. And that's about 30% damage recouped as life. That number is the number you need to hit in order for every hit coming in, if you have a leveled qualityed Petrified Blood, every hit that comes in, if you have recoup of about 30%, you will perfectly mitigate that damage, and therefore the portion that is the degen portion of Petrified Blood is completely solved in a character like this with Dissolution of the Flesh. You also get the advantage of having the mitigation layer of Dissolution of the Flesh, where Dissolution of the Flesh, or not Dissolution, Dissolution combined with Petrified Blood. Now this works beautifully with Petrified by Blood, because this is always applicable. Whenever you're taking damage from hits, even if you have fully unreserved life, Petrified Blood actually is basically like doubly effective as it would normally be. Because your life pool, you're considered low life, but in terms of reserving your life, you're actually full life. So a scenario where you're taking a pretty massive hit, you're going to take only 60% damage of this hit for the entirety of this globe, rather than only getting the mitigation once you're at half health like you would normally. So Petrified Blood plus Dissolution is actually a very strong combination. Also, the one weakness for Dissolution builds, Petrified Blood Dissolution builds, is of course ailments. Poison, bleed, ignite. This character isn't set up for it yet because I'm going to need to craft Avoidance boots, which I've just been stalling on. I'm also going to craft a rare chest. We're probably going to lose 500 to 800 life crafting a rare chest, but I'll get there eventually. The point is, we're going to get Avoidance boots. That's going to get us ailment immunity for elemental ailments, and we're going to get poison and bleed immunity via tolerance, avoidance here, this mastery, and I am going to get a Abyssal Jewel that instead of having 20%, it's going to have 30%, because it can actually roll those mods as affixes on the jewel, is what I'm going to be shooting for, to get full immunity to the desperate or most dangerous ailments to the build. That being said, the one weakness will end up being degen ground pools. We're going to have to avoid those, as those will be a pain. We'll work our way through that when we get there. Now, other mechanics of the build I should go over. We're also stacking into a Rathpithe Globe. Thanks to our damage being all scaled by life, Rathpithe Globe says, hey, you're scaling a lot of life? Well, here you go. Have a lot of spell damage, have a lot of crit chance. With this shield alone, combined with a Relic of the Pact, which gives you lucky crit when on low life, and we're always on low life, we end up getting basically 100% crit chance, or close to it, effectively, just by scaling a decent amount of life, which feels pretty cool and weird at the same time. Now, this is a character that has a lot of moving parts. I'm only level 80, or 79, I guess. I showcased a tier 10 map or something, I can't remember, or maybe it was T11. It wasn't too crazy, nothing too impressive. I don't know how good this character is going to be in the end game. We're going to take it there and we're going to test it out. It's just a character I've been playing and I've been enjoying a lot. Whether or not this is the right way to build this character, I don't know. I'm just having fun doing it, to be honest. So I will have more updates when we actually level this character up more and take it to some endgame content. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. As always, take care, Exiles.